Who's hard? Welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday morning. Yes, we are back to our regularly scheduled programming, which means that, unfortunately, everything's back to normal. I unfortunately go back to work. I do all this other stuff. I go back to work today, so meh. Yes, hey Pirate Ninja, hey Spread It Forward. So yes, we will be watching that video. We do have a lot to go through, so I think we should start, yeah? Oh, by the way, we've also added some new effects. I think Spread It Forward will enjoy this one. Hold on, let me see if I... Oops, sorry. That was not the effect, okay? Here we go.
Please clap.
We have the please clap sound effect. Yes, exactly, Darknet.
Please clap.
Alright, folks, we got quite the ground to cover, so let's get started.
Searching for the truth my whole life. And one time I just came across a video that was about Biden and Kamala Harris.
Alright, so, okay. First off, we're gonna try not to do like the pause it Andy, but I will say this is a problem with the idea of like quote doing your own research, because confirmation bias is a thing, and if I wanted to reinforce my worldview, I would find information to do that, right? It's the internet. Hey KTS Shine. Apparently Trump embarrassed Jeb Bush's son, but I haven't watched the video yet. Oh man. That's funny. Well, if we have time, we can try to watch it.
And Clinton and Obama, they are Satan worshippers, Satanists. They're Satan worshippers, 100%. And I couldn't wait to tell my family.
What?
And they just go, they just said, you're crazy. Trump's the worst.
How does that?
You're just crazy. I mean, like, imagine. I got halfway and I had to stop because I wanted to see with friends. Hey! He looks and feels like Gary Busey. Oh, you know what? Kind of. Hey, Alio. Maybe she could be Gary Busey's sister. He kind of does. I mean, not bad or anything, but the resemblance is definitely there. Hey, Memmius, how's it going?
Does that make you feel?
Sad, I cry all the time. But I just keep praying. That's all I do. I just keep praying and asking God to open their eyes. I have a beautiful family. They're just blind.
Which family member do you miss the most?
True. My sons.
Probably my baby sister.
Oh, baby
I
sister.
told her we're in a spiritual warfare. This is between good and evil, and she rolled her eyes.
True.
What was her name?
Meg. We go and have wine together and lunch together, and it's gone.
You wish you had never stumbled upon.
Once you learn, you don't turn back.
Oh my
I know
God.
what God wants
Wait,
of us
wait,
and
wait,
what
wait.
Jesus wants, and it's what Trump wants, and it's what...
Wait, you know, you could always not do this, right? Like, these are choices you're consciously making. It's pretty sad to see the other side to losing family to Trump or Q. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That is because I mean, like, these are victims, right? These are victims of some severe, like, propagandization, too much time on the internet, and people like who continue to perpetuate this or even give credence to this in any way, shape, or form. Hey, Super Surge. That's right, Smartiphone. Cicero Fields, how's it going? Good morning, morning.
The Patriots want.
What the
I would
Patriots
never
want.
turn back, no matter how many of my family I lose.
This is just like my dad or something at this point. Yikes.
We go on!
Oh my god. Whoa.
I have been censored 3 times, disabled, permanently disabled on Facebook. Censored, permanently suspended. They
All of these things are not the same thing.
don't like my Q flag. They don't like my Q mobile, and they sure they
My
all don't
Q
like me in
mobile.
my Q Patriot costume.
Where we go one, we go all. I don't even say the M word anymore, right?
What?
M?
The M word.
What's that?
It's a dirty word. It's
What?
Now I have
Wait, what? No. No, hold on.
it's a dirty word. It's Now I have my own words instead of the words that I know the algorithms are gonna shut me down.
Can you tell us what words you use for which? We're not going to shut you down.
Mask, the face diaper, vaccine, the jokey pokey, and election fraud. The obvious fraud. See, people don't understand
Huh.
everything that we've learned from day one.
This is great insight, by the way. This is great. Yeah. This is great insight. Very, very clever. Okay, it's possible I've been following one of the QNut streamers to see what the hell they say, and now I found another one on Twitch. Jesus Christ. How are they still like... I mean, is this like legitimate like Q streamers? Like literally on this type of level, Cicero Fields? Jesus.
Has been a lie. We never were on the moon.
What?
I don't think the Hitler situation is as bad as they said.
Oh no. Okay, yeah, so for those of you that say, that like QAnon is literally like a skip and a hop away from the JQ, I mean get shut down, but they pop up with various different names. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, it turns out people who are willing to like believe stuff like that, it's not that far. It's not that far to then reach out and say, there's a cabal of like Democrat pedophiles or something. How do they explain away when their predictions of QAnon doesn't happen? They usually explain it away by saying, actually, that's not what they meant. It's probably this, that, or they make up another story. Lin Wood gave us insight to that. He even said that Q, regardless of even if Q is even real, you are now Q. It's your job to be Q. Like, you see how they spin stuff, and if like things didn't happen on January, then it's not January, it's March. If it's not March, then the next prediction is on August. Right now, according to their conspiracy theory, Trump is going to be reinstated in August. Yeah, they just move on to the next prediction and milk it till eternity.
There was either. That was the Rothschilds, that was the Rockefellers.
Oh, no. Y'all caught that, right? Two minutes and 30 seconds in, and we're already into the JQ. Check this out.
The face diaper, vaccine, the jokey pokey, and election fraud. The obvious fraud. See, people don't understand everything that we've learned from day one has been a lie.
Everything.
We never were on the moon. No, I don't think the Hitler situation is as bad as they said it was either. That was the Rothschilds. That was the Rockefellers.
So
Those
it
are-
was the Jews who did that. Oh my god. Jesus.
40 words in social media. I got banned forever
Yeah.
on Facebook.
No shit, Sherlock. No shit, Sherlock. No, wait. Yeah, I don't know why I got banned off Facebook. I was just like talking about like, you know, real things like Holocaust denial and like the Jewish question. Like what?
You're watching Channel 5.
After a hectic few weeks on the road, covering events like the Pickup Artist Boot Camp in Las Vegas,
America is back open, baby. It's makeout time.
It's makeout time. What the heck?
And creating my first solo documentary about two twins in Marin City, California.
We've been everywhere and on every bitch.
What? For real? Jesus Christ, Super Surge. I work with senior citizens and I have a client that literally still has the concentration camp tattoo on her arm. It makes me rage hearing that mess. Yeah, I bet. Holy yikes. It is a Joe Rogan clone. It's like that meathead kind of body type. Yeah, so QAnon, bad. Okay? Amazing.
I decided to dive back into the world of right-wing politics. That's when I discovered the God and Country Patriot Roundup, a 3-day event in Dallas which cost $3,000,
Jesus.
not including a stay at the Omni Hotel.
$3,000 for this? Holy yikes. Also, you know, I was thinking about this, like, a lot of these conspiracy theories, I don't know if they come necessarily from Alex Jones, but they certainly were signal boosted to millions upon millions upon millions of people thanks to Alex Jones and his Infowar stupid website, right? Holy grift, Batman. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, like, you know what? Alex Jones has had a lot of reverberations, and I believe some of this, and I believe some of this may have been a product of that.
Hotel in Dallas, which cost an additional $1,000.
Jesus Christ.
What I found there was a couple hundred patriots with one thing in common.
I've been banned from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. This is Joe Biden's daughter's diary. I used to make videos like reading it out loud.
I've lost 2 YouTube channels, 3 Twitters, and 4 Facebooks. Every time it's like, yes, I'm winning.
Why'd you get
I'm winning.
The so-called Pizzagate conspiracy theory.
The Pizzagate conspiracy theory. Now I wonder who perpetuated the Pizzagate stuff. Hey, Zimbo. Those tickets were $3K? Yeah, exactly. I've also read that they gained... Sambatsu, thank you for the follow. I also read that they gained a lot of followers, sometimes was an inside job and flat earther groups. Yeah, I bet. Hey, Dark Exorcist. Yeah, a lot of this was perpetuated by Alex Jones. Nice, Dark Exorcist. Yeah, I'm convinced that, like, this whole type of stuff... Well, it makes sense that a lot of these conspiracy groups are interconnected. And, of course, they would all, like, coalesce or, I guess, center around Q now. But I still am convinced that a lot of this does perpetuate from Alex Jones. Actually, help. This seems like a bit of a sham. What seems like a bit of a sham? Yeah. If it's on YouTube, I'm going to assume that it does follow a TOS. If it's on YouTube, I assume it, especially from Andrew's work. I assume it does follow like YouTube parameters. That pizza shop did have some stuff going on. Not gonna lie. Their Instagram is very strange. Duct tape kids to steal. Yeah, no, I don't know.
Well, first of all, I had like 300,000 subscribers on YouTube. The last couple of videos I did were all about the Hunter Biden laptop issue. Within 48 hours of putting those out, they just deleted my channel right away. And then within 2 weeks of that, I was deleted off of Twitter as well.
Yes, we were recently kicked off Twitter because of a confrontation I did with the VP of Integrity at Facebook.
If we weren't making a difference, if it wasn't that important, why would they spend so much effort and energy into it?
I mean, all of Silicon Valley is like run by the Chinese, so.
We're in war.
Wait, no, that's not true. That's not true.
It's no different than what they were doing to the Jews and different things. They silence them. They're just doing it through social media and electronically now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I too remember when this is exactly what happened in the Holocaust.
It's a war of the minds. It's psychological, right? It's emotional. It's mental. It's actually worse than having bullets and missiles.
The only real difference between woke supremacists and the Nazi supremacists, the white supremacists, the Old South, is the technology available to them. They don't need to put the Jews, the other, into ghettos, because they can now electronically ghettoize us. They, in fact, this Jew is electronically ghettoized.
The name of God seems like propaganda. Yeah, it is.
I am endlessly being imprisoned in Zuckerberg's gulags. And again, it serves exactly the same purpose as Stalin's gulags. Hey, woke people, wake up. It's pretty ridiculous.
Dude, this is like the weirdest gulag I've ever seen. Yes, they find like one tidbit to hang on to their hooks and it just escalates in deep down rabbit holes. True.
To be outraged by a misgendered toy plastic potato. It's pretty ridiculous to be outraged by the shape of a syrup jar shaped in the design of a beloved black ant.
Are you talking about Mr. Potato Head and Aunt Jemima?
Mr. Potato Head and Aunt Jemima. It is ludicrous to be outraged by a drawing in a 70-year-old children's book of a hard-working Asian man that was somewhat cartoonish. Because you know what? You know why it was cartoonish? Because it was a cartoon. Because it was a cartoon.
It sucks, but that's why we fight.
And now what we've done is, between President Trump and people like Q and podcasts like myself, we had a voice. We are the news now. When people want to know the truth, where do they go?
We are the news. We are the news. Jesus, alternative media is a blight on society. Holy yikes.
Alternative platforms like Rumble, BitChute, DLive, Twitch, Foxhole, Pilled, CloutHub, PureSocial.tv.
I use Telegram a lot. I love Telegram. I have great group chats on there.
I do a lot of stuff in the community, in the streets. I go stand at squares and hold signs for the kids. Operation 1009, Save Our Children, and human trafficking.
We have
Save our children, Jesus Christ.
To the oldest technology of all, which is one-on-one conversation.
True,
so
everyone
at this event is pretty much deplatformed there. So I guess this is kind of like the way for them to network, hang out, figure out what's next. How you doing?
Big fan, bro.
Hell yeah, dog. What's on your mind?
I just met a group. They're called like Down for the Revote or something, and they're like doing a Justice for Prince thing. They think
Justice for
like
Prince?
A few days before Prince was gonna die, he was gonna out Hillary Clinton on like eating and raping children.
Let's go find them. Hey, how you doing?
No one in the whole universe will ever compare.
Prince was murdered, and we absolutely have already proven it by mathematical standards.
Oh, mathematical standards.
Prince had been exposing things about deep state, Illuminati, cabal. I call it the Worldwide Communist Network, and I think we all know that when you do things like that and you use your celebrityism,
to be fair, I'm still not convinced by Biden, but better than Trump for sure. Yeah, true.
That are not allowed, right, by the One-Eyed Crew, then you get hit.
I tried so hard and got so far.
Whoa. No. Come on now. Really? Linkin Park?
But in the end, it doesn't even matter.
Chester Bennington's the lead singer of Linkin Park. He and Chris Cornell were going to expose Hillary Clinton's pedophilia.
No.
Jeffrey Epstein was essential in facilitating quite a lot of this. He's responsible for the murder of multiple people, including Nipsey Hussle.
What?
Yes.
What?
Nipsey Hussle is one of my spirit guides, and I've just worked with his energy and guidance since his death.
Where do you get your news from?
From divine source, from God.
Oh, interesting. Huh. Okay. I don't even know what to say to that.
We are a prophetic justice ministry.
I do not watch TV. I don't watch truthers. I don't watch the internet. I do not really even
Undeniable
read
source,
books.
true.
I've channeled all of my life. I've always heard his voice, and my accuracy is constantly at 99 to 100%.
Wow.
We're not part of the Q movement. We align with some of...
Wait. I'm sorry. Wait. Oh man. I can't argue with that guy that says God is my source. You've already lost that argument. True. Undeniable, right? Here's my ultimate Exodia card.
The things that Q has said, we really came out to just network with this community. So love and honor and infinite love and gratitude to Prince and Nipsey Hussle.
Wait, taxation without
Upon further research, I
representation?
learned that this was not just any Patriot conference. The event is hosted by John Sabal, aka QAnon John, and his wife Amy. These Patriots are avid believers in QAnon, a conspiracy theory that a deep state insider is spreading messages on the image board 8chan to expose people like Hillary Clinton and Bill Gates, saying they belong to an elite cabal of Satan worshipping. I don't know what. Brace, you want to come in here?
QAnon is the theory that an individual or a group of individuals are exposing the deep state, including Hillary Clinton and her baby-eating ways, through the image board 8chan, which also has a lot of child porno. They think either Donald Trump is Q or he's behind it. He is like a Christ-like figure who's...
Oh yeah, we're gonna save the children, and then like there's CP like all over the place in 8chan, or what was 4chan. That's right, KTS. I want to start a new movement called God is a Woman.
Come to the office of the presidency in order to arrest and execute every single person who they don't like.
But right now is a weird time to be a Q supporter. For years, Q has talked about the storm, a day of reckoning in which Trump, along with the military, would arrest all the members of the deep state and save the world. But the storm never came.
It's weird to be a QAnon person now because for 5 years, QAnon people have believed that Nancy Pelosi, etc., would be arrested and executed in Guantanamo Bay prison in Cuba. And to this date, not a single person has been.
And on December 8th, 2020, Q stopped posting.
I think the last post...
Well, I mean, like, as we saw spread it forward, it's not too... It's a skip and a hop from starting to go into, like, the JQ, right?
Was a scene from Last of the Mohicans, and then a gif of an American flag flying over a forest. That's basically it.
So, these are the very, very, very interesting tourist site. The very interesting tourism site that happened on January 6th. That was completely, totally nonviolent. Jesus Christ.
I think
January 6th was supposed to be the storm, and then that didn't work, and then January 20th was supposed to be the storm. By that time, everyone was really tired. But they keep saying, I've been in there all morning, that the storm is still coming.
Yeah, they'll keep pushing the dates back.
Truth forever, whether there's posts or not, as long as anons never cease to find and spread the truth. I could go on for weeks about Q and what I've learned. One, that this was an inside job, and I hope that all those that are guilty of what they did and all the crimes that came after it are punished to the fullest extent of the law.
It was an infiltration. I was there. I know what it was. Antifa. Black Lives Matter. George Soros funded. Same thing.
It's the Jews. It's the Jews, of course. I mean, like, really, at this point, like, this is like, I mean, not that hard to predict. This is like a MPC dialogue tree, right? Like, of course, it's always the Jews with these people.
It's all an infiltration. We've learned it. We've seen the court documents since it's happened.
The court documents? Wait. What court documents has this person seen? We've seen, like, I know it's mind-blowing that we even have to go through this, but the FBI and other intelligence and law enforcement has determined that Antifa and BLM were really not involved in this. Like, the way this conspiracy came to be was that they found, like, one guy filming, and then they used that one guy who was Antifa filming to then say, oh yeah, Antifa was definitely here, it's an inside job. Right, if it was Antifa or BLM, then why are they concerned with how they're being treated in jail? True. Exactly, it was Antifa, that's why we need an investigation. True! Absolutely, Darknet. You know what? You're absolutely correct. We do need an investigation. We need to find all these Antifa super agents and BLM agents involved in the January 6th. I demand an investigation, and I hope that Republicans are completely on board with that. It's always those other people, never them. True. The most sobering part is not the fact that this is bound to happen again. You think so?
Happened. These are people with connections.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think that the storm didn't necessarily happen. I think that the whole point of it was for a vast majority of people to wake up. There were still things happening. You know, I mean, we've got the audits in Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin.
I trust 100% that.
Oh, I see. So now the spin of it is like, wait, guys. The storm wasn't January 6th. It's still coming. That wasn't it. That was a false alarm, guys. That's right, Oliver Fox. Somebody died to make sure that flag wasn't in that building. Yeah, it's super gross. It's super gross.
There's a plan. I think it's Dan Scavino, Mike Pompeo. I think, we're obviously not allowed to hear about certain things because it's a military operation. And,
what?
I have complete faith. It doesn't ruin my hopes that,
It's a military operation against what? The American people or American democracy or whatever it is that they're claiming. But also they believe simultaneously that the military is going to come and reinstate Trump in power. The same military that's doing this alleged psyop. What?
A lot of people aren't talking about it. They don't want to get kicked off Facebook.
Part of the reason I believe we're in this problem is because we've gotten conditioned for instant gratification. Q was the template. It doesn't matter what Q does. It doesn't matter what Trump does.
We're obviously not trust 100% that there's
I think it says Make America Great Again.
The storm didn't necessarily happen. Wisconsin.
That there's a plan. I think it's Dan Scavino.
I think it's
Mike
a MAGA.
Pompeo. I think, we're obviously not
it says
allowed
something
to hear about
AOC
certain
again.
things 'cause
True.
It's a military operation. And, I have complete faith. It doesn't ruin my hopes that, a lot of people aren't talking about it. They don't want to get kicked off Facebook.
Part of the reason I believe we're in this problem is because we've gotten conditioned for instant gratification. Q was the template. It doesn't matter what Q does. It doesn't matter what Trump does until we're willing to participate in something different and be a part of that.
You know what? I agree. I think that social media is algorithms of instant to push instant gratification, meaning that, you know, it keeps you scrolling and leads you down to deep rabbit holes are really part of one of the reasons why we're here. You know what? He's right. Just not in the way he thinks he is. Yeah, this QNut I heard early morning was saying that the military will be used to restore the presidency to Trumpy. Yeah, I mean, like, but also this is a military psyop against the American people. I don't get it. These are the same people saying a bakery is allowed to reject a gay marriage, but yet they complain about being banned from business. The irony. Yeah, no, logic, it goes right over their heads. If you believe that, I have a bridge in my backyard to West Virginia to sell. Whatever you believe, you can Google and find people that will confirm your beliefs, like the flat earth people. True! Confirmation bias is a real thing. Oh, banned from Facebook, gotcha. Yeah, I literally talked about that earlier. Like, the problem with do your own research is exactly that, right? Do your own research? Well, yeah, I can find a whole bunch of stuff that will reinforce my beliefs, and or find stuff that is kind of adjacent enough that I will interpret that with my confirmation bias to reinforce that, right? Like, for example, some of the stuff that I got in replies in that Twitter thread that I got into a couple of days ago, they were trying to cite studies making the point of, like, oh, well, natural immunity is always better than vaccinations. And, like, the studies that they were citing had absolutely nothing to do with the idea or the point I was making in terms of, like, vaccines are more effective than natural immunity. But they held on to their beliefs because that study, even though it had absolutely nothing to do with anything, like, if they read it, it was a study about, like, the effects of, like, potential efficacy in children or something like that. It had nothing to do with any of the information that I was talking about. But they used that to dig their heels in, right? And it's really, really disturbing. Like, the idea that this is the concept of do your own research. It's like, no, dude, I'm sorry, but your Google degree will never outperform someone who's been doing this their entire life, okay? The amount of Googling or YouTube videos or Facebook posts will ever supersede someone like, I don't know, like Fauci's, like, decades of field work and research and credentials. Sorry. Like, real life experience over Google research any day, personal experience. Yeah, the problem with personal experience is that is personal, right? So the problem with that is, well, yeah, to you, this is your current experience with something, but if we're trying to, like, look at the bigger picture, then it means really nothing, right? If you're trying to look at the bigger picture and try to see, like, trends or patterns, just one person's experience isn't, like, exactly going to give us the full picture. Yes, but you also have to be able to decipher credible sources. True. The problem is, Pirate Ninja, they do cite studies. It's not like they're citing, like, bad studies, although that does happen. But, like, they'll cite studies that have absolutely nothing to do with anything, but they kind of cling on to that, right? Which, to that, I would say, spread it forward is correct. We should preach critical thinking and question your beliefs. And, you know, it is quite possible to be wrong, and that's okay. We change, right? We change our beliefs and our perspective based on new information, or at least we should consider the fact that this information exists, and maybe it is, and maybe we're wrong, and move forward from that, you know? It's keeping an open mind, but within reason, right? There are studies that show that conspiracy-minded people are happy two or more conflicting views to prove, are happy to hold, okay, two or more conflicting views that prove their belief system as long as it flows against the establishment narrative. Also evidence against their narrative. only solidifies their belief system. I knew the establishment would fight this. Yeah, exactly. Right. The bottom line is I'm right, and anything that says otherwise is deep state propaganda that furthers me right. Yeah, exactly.
See, we are the plan. We are the storm.
We are the storm.
They did their job. You know, they started the Great Awakening.
What?
Disappointed when Q stopped posting back in December?
No, because they did their job. Am I disappointed in Trump? No, Trump did his job. Now we have to, as people, take back our country and not wait for a hero.
One of the tactics of this new psychological war seemed to be avoiding Q. The main speaker.
Correct, Tater. It takes experts to evaluate methodology of a state of a study accurately, I would say. I mean, like, you can read studies and you can read like abstracts of studies and like summaries and conclusions, but you have to be you have to understand how to evaluate methodology and all this other stuff to determine whether or not this is like useful for your point. Because like just because a study says X, Y, or Z does not mean that it proves, you know, whatever you're trying to prove, right? I will say this, it seems like many of the people that believe the conspiracy theory crap took Michael Moore seriously? I'm not sure what that means. Has Q stopped posting? Yes. I think if we were more sensitive to life, then the process of learning takes you on the right path. Not sure what that means. I think they just said, hey Memo, by the way. Yeah, exactly, Spread It Forward. I think they said it was like sometime in December.
Speakers of the event, General Flynn and Sidney Powell, claimed to not know anything about what we're talking about.
Okay, thank you. Andrew Callahan, Channel 5 Action News. So,
Channel 5 from where, though? Describe
Channel 5 Action News is not actually a TV channel. It's the name of our YouTube channel.
I got it. I think I knew that about you.
It's not syndicated through a national broadcasting corporation, but, you know. So talking about manipulation, if you go on any mainstream media platform, they describe this whole event as a QAnon conspiracy conference.
Yeah.
Why do you think that they're doing that, and is that true?
If they create this boogeyman, right? If they create this boogeyman, that's a nice little thing to just keep beating us about. They try to take an organization like this and create that level of noise that I talked about.
What?
QAnon, they're the domestic, they're the new, you know, they're the new shiny object. I don't know what QAnon is. I really don't.
That's really weird, my dude, because you've been shouting them out from the beginning. And also, you literally saw all of the Q propaganda. I mean... okay. Right, the new conspiracy is going to pivot to say, oh yeah, well actually, Q is still around, he's just hiding so the deep state won't get him or something. Jesus Christ. Yeah, exactly, Zimbo. Yeah, totally normal. In case anybody forgot, this guy was in the upper echelons of the military. Yeah, totally fine. It's all good. Everything, this is fine.
I really don't. But I'm going to leave here saying, well, do you believe in God?
General Flynn was being real sneaky.
As he delivered his speech, vendors in the back sold QAnon hats and t-shirts, and his colleague Sidney Powell was even wearing a big fat Q on the back of her motorbike jacket.
Right, like, wait, I have no idea what QAnon means. Yeah. Press X to doubt.
He claimed to not know what QAnon was, but months before, he took the oath with his entire extended family.
Where we go one, we go all.
Wait.
Where we go one, we go all. God bless America. God bless America.
Listen.
Like, do these people seriously think that the internet doesn't exist? I mean, whatever gets posted, whatever gets, like, filmed, posted, and uploaded in any way, shape, or form, you have to understand or acknowledge that that's always going to be there, right? Someone can always dig it up. I don't get it. That's right, it doesn't matter because deep state fake and all that. Yeah, true. Powell is in a biker gang. I think that was just a vest that she was wearing.
On the 4th of July last year, where we go on, we go all, he was the military man who knew about the Hillary Clinton scandals and what they've been doing for years. Like, his truth is what brought the movement alive. And, you know, whether or not he's in it, he's the people's general. He woke us up. Whatever it was, he had a role in the Great Awakening. Shout out to General Flynn. Where we go on, we go all.
We just talked to General Flynn, and he said he doesn't know what QAnon is.
Well, media, look what they do when they take little pieces of it, and we've been ostracized, we've been talked about, through our families, we've lost loved ones, wives have walked away, parents, everybody is ostracized in a certain way in their own communities, and why give them the opportunity?
Not surprisingly, other speakers followed General Flynn's lead.
What are your thoughts on the whole, QAnon thing?
I don't know about it. I really don't. And, I only talk about things I know. Are you familiar with arena football?
Arena football? The sport?
Yeah, the sport. So, my roommate was one of the old owners of one of the teams.
This is classic, classic Trump, right? Trump defense. Oh, I've never heard of this person. Well, I don't know. Oh, it's not me. That's pure doublespeak. I don't even know what Q is, even though there's a video of you. Yeah, these people live in an alternate reality where simultaneously they can hold the position of, hey, Iden Simpson, the Kevin, how's it going? So they can simultaneously hold the position that Q doesn't exist, but also sell Q merchandise. I don't get it. Folks, please go ahead and give twitch.tv/Iden Simpson a follow, twitch.tv/TheKevinFM. That's right, so many based people in one space. True. Love your face, buddy. I'm glad you're here. You can't debate anybody who just denies everything. That's true. That's true.
This event in general has been called a QAnon conspiracy theory rally. Even says,
hey, howdy, Peter Parker.
The lanyard.
How's it going?
What are your thoughts on that whole thing?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Here to talk.
Hope you guys are doing well. I'm hanging in there.
Black conservatism. His 3-point plan of education, entrepreneurship, and self-reliance. We need to bring that back.
I see the crystal raindrops fall, and the beauty of it all. When the sun comes shining through. I think Trump is the best thing that ever happened to black people in particular. I represent the hood from St. Louis. We kill each other every day in the black community.
There's an Iden Simpson that work amazing D&D.
Doing
Nice.
her homework, and a bullet comes through the window. There's no Black Lives Matter. But as soon as a white police officer grabs a black person the wrong way, put the finger in the face the wrong way, Black Lives Matter. It has nothing to do with the matters of black lives.
What
are the undercurrents that are hiding behind the black?
I'm sorry, I lost what his point. I will say this: he does have a great voice. Again, I want to know what that chick says in 13. Yeah, we couldn't really see it though.
Black Lives Matter movement.
First of all, it was
he has a nice
started
voice. Exactly.
by two black lesbians who hate the black family.
What?
The war against BLM and Antifa rages on.
Okay, Antifa, I'm speaking to you. So what I saw yesterday is uncalled for. When you're sitting there making up lies about speakers that are involved with QAnon, when you're sitting there spewing ugliness, make sure you know and educate yourself.
Okay. Oh man, are we gonna end this video with a threat? Is that what it is? I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. Is that it? Is that what we're gonna do? We've got another absolute poggers of a person in chat, of a human being, an absolute poggers human being. Please go check out twitch.tv/leftflangbets. This guy's a mixture of Jersey Shore, True, and Dog the Bounty Hunter. There's a lot of poggers folks here.
And don't be spewing out venom.
Midway through our interview, fake news arrived.
Oh no. Oh no. Fake news.
What's going on? Let's go find out. Yeah, let's go find out. You're hosting.
What? What am I doing? What am I doing? What's happening?
Some guy got kicked out.
Oh, he got kicked out.
CNN?
Who? He's a reporter.
CNN?
I don't even know what I'm doing. Oh, is that fake news? Fake news! Will, how you doing, brother? You trying to get in, huh? Not good. Trying to get in, huh? Not good, Will.
Yeah, get out of here.
Schmuck. Yeah, I mean, I guess, they're not fans of mine. I think QAnon John, who runs it, is not like a huge...
It's a fake news. The Daily Beast. He was a Daily Beast guy. Yeah, I love how they had him host for like 2 seconds. I'm not as poggers as that shirtless man, though. Oh. All gas, no brakes is coded. True. Oh man, he was talking shit about fake news and then he was a host of a news show before he even knew it. True. Like, yeah, he'll go catch some gators and so and then go fist pumping at the club in the same night to celebrate. True. That's him right there.
Huge fan of my reporting, and I think QAnon people just like aren't huge fans of reporters in general. What QAnon tells you is that like the most powerful people in the world just committing the most heinous crimes. They're abusing children with impunity, right? And only you and Donald Trump can stop it. And so if you believe that, then like, yeah, of course you're going to be on board with QAnon.
Right.
And
like,
I think, like,
and just like on this, on the surface of it, like, does that sound like, does that make sense? Out of all the people in this world, like, there's no authorities, there's no police, there's no units dedicated to child trafficking. There's nothing like that. It's just the one person who happens to have the key to everything is Donald Trump. I mean,
it's pretty fun. And look, they call themselves digital soldiers, right? It's like you're like in a war.
Do you feel bad for these people?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I don't feel super bad for like the people who are promoting it and like who I think are often cynically making money and ruining people.
True.
But yeah, I
agree.
feel very bad for the average QAnon believer because, you know, it's something that it preys on your emotions, right? It's like almost everyone I know, they have a story about someone they know who has like lost their mind to QAnon.
Yeah, and it's like, these are victims, just to be clear. I wouldn't go to these rounds on security files. These people, many of them believed to be employed by the media, should be killed. Yes, I've seen that before.
We're actually doing food.
But if Q and MAGA only believe Trump, the world is probably fake news. Yeah, it doesn't have to make sense.
What do you think he was trying to say?
That's classified.
Why what happened in Myanmar can't
Myanmar.
happen here. No reason. I mean, it should happen here. No reason.
Yeah, casually just advocating for a coup. Cool, normal stuff. Yeah, normal, totally normal stuff. If they're concerned about pedos, why don't they talk about Trump and his old buddy Epstein? Yeah, but they've already covered this. They say that Trump was only acting as like an undercover agent or something like that, you know? True, super surge. True. Alright folks, we do have quite the amount of headlines to go through, so let's see if we can get through some of these. Yeah. Yeah, so this is the thing. Come on.
Up.
Come on. Yeah, he's the best secret agent. That's right.
Carlson, Sandy, have you been reading the news recently? How would you describe to your grandchildren 50 years from now the moment that we're living through? Well, if you're looking for a single snapshot that perfectly distills the pure hallucinogenic absurdity of it, consider the Biden administration's new guidance on COVID. We learned yesterday that America's children are going to spend yet another year with covered faces. This despite the fact that masks are demonstrably terrible for kids and the kids face no meaningful threat from the coronavirus. But it doesn't matter.
Whoa, that's not true. Source. And we are seeing that kids are being affected, and of course, they transmit the disease. Yeah, they transmit to others who could be affected by it. How can you get banned off YouTube for passing that, but not off TV? Yeah, who knows? Because it's not news, okay? Because it's not news. This is an opinion piece that's not based on any type of facts, as Fox News themselves argued. Right? It's not even satire. It's just like entertainment. It's not. These are just opinions. Yeah, spoiler alert, he never tells you which source.
The White House says that kids have to wear their masks, and so they will.
The White House doesn't determine whether or not the White House doesn't determine whether or not kids wear masks. Actually, school boards across the country are the ones who voted to do so or not to do so. I was rightly once sucked into the whole of Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder when I was 16, but soon realized they use out-of-context facts and weird nonsensical arguments to give you the feeling of domination. It's very easy to be a right-winger unless you can actually see what's going on and assess your self-beliefs and where they come from. I appreciate that testimony, Mr. Blue Lemon Panther. Thank you. Thank you.
We also learned yesterday that the administration is going to force federal employees to take the COVID vaccine. The mandate will start with government healthcare workers. Now, some of these healthcare workers, for reasons that no one has bothered to explain or even ask about, have so far refused to take the vaccine.
We have seen in numerous cases where, like, nurses have fallen down, like, conspiratorial rabbit holes and are refusing to take this. The overwhelming amount of folks are nurses. There are some doctors, but mostly nurses. That also doesn't mean really anything, right? Okay, so critical thinking skill cap on. Exactly what is that supposed to prove? That, okay, there's some nurses out there refusing to take the vaccine. Why? Is there data behind it? Which study indicated the problems as to why they made that decision? Was that decision based on pure feelies?
But now Kamala Harris is going to make them, these healthcare workers.
Make them. Yeah, they're federal employees. Wait. Yeah, that's how that works. If they're federal employees within the purview of the federal government. Yeah, just like I'm an employee of my company. If my company says tomorrow that everybody needs to show proof of vaccination, or else you can't go back to work or whatever. I'm just making up a scenario. This is a hypothetical because we're still working from home. But let's say tomorrow we're no longer working from home and the only way we can go back to work is to show our vaccine cards. That's literally the same thing. That's literally the same thing.
That for a moment. So Willie Brown's girlfriend is claiming
it's to invoke a sense of skepticism and fear without anything to really back it up. It's all like drummed up, right? Because as you noticed, he just made a bunch of claims without actually giving you how he got that conclusion. He just said it, right? Masks are bad for children. Oh, well, how? Where did you get this information? Which study? Did you see Chris Cuomo's interview with the restaurant owner last night? Gold? No, I haven't seen it.
Claiming she knows more about medicine than nurses and doctors do. She's an expert on the subject. And so, by the way, is her 78-year-old business partner, the one who seems adrift in fantasy a lot of the time and tends to nod out in mid-sentence. He's a medical expert, too. Watch him explain that once you've had the vaccine, you don't need to wear a mask.
I think it's a great milestone, a great day.
I mean, yeah, it's the original thought process, which I mean, made sense at the time based on the data that they had, was that technically, if you're hanging out with all vaccinated people, all of you are vaccinated, theoretically, there really shouldn't be any problems. You don't have to, like, that was the whole point. The problem is, many people, unfortunately, took that and started taking off their masks, full well knowing they're not vaccinated, and now we have a huge problem. Yeah, Tucker Carlson steamrolls you with obscure facts until you agree with them. True. Thank you for the follow, my friend. I appreciate that.
It's been made possible by the extraordinary success we've had in vaccinating so many Americans so quickly. When your country asked you to get vaccinated, you did. The American people stepped up.
And that's also not correct on Biden's part. Zenma Tavon, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. That's also not correct on Biden's part. Dude, we're barely past, like, what, 50-something%? We are nowhere near. Okay? Like, that's not true. We're in a lot tougher waters than he's painting here.
You did what I consider to be your patriotic duty. That's how we've gotten to this day. If you've been fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask. Let me repeat. If you are fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask.
If you're hanging out with fully vaccinated people.
Let me repeat, if you are fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask. And we believe that. It made sense. And by the way, that was the settled science. It was just 2 months ago, back in May. Only Russian spies and white supremacists questioned that science.
Okay. So I know this is hard for Tucker to grasp in his, like, pea brain, but science has this, like, weird thing where it can be updated and it changes based on new information and new studies. It's fascinating. I know, Tucker, it's very fascinating, but consensus changes depending on data.
Of course, you don't need a mask once you've had the vaccine. Why would you? The COVID vaccine is a miracle. It's like the moon landing. Patriots get it. The vaccine's foolproof. That's all you need. Again.
Whoa. That's also not true. We knew from the beginning. That the vaccine wasn't foolproof. That's a lie. That's misinformation. That is 100% misinformation. From the very beginning the vaccine started rolling out, they said that it was, what, 90-ish%? 90-something%, right? Depending. Yeah, science never said that you won't get the virus with the vaccine. Right. 95 even. Okay, thank you, Harley. Right, so in no way, shape, or form did they even pretend that this was going to be 100%. Also, only Trump says it was a miracle. True. Even if you get the regular flu shot, you can still get the flu. I don't know why this is so hard to understand. Because people are so entrenched. They're so entrenched and want to and are looking for this confirmation bias and are being propagandized by people like Tucker Carlson, right, to believe this. Oh, this is a nice meme. We're gonna have to go over this, so let me try to rush through some of these so that we can get to the real good stuff.
We believe that because it made sense. And then we saw something very strange. We saw Kamala Harris and her husband, whose name was either Doug or Douglas, depending on the source.
That's right. Tucker doesn't believe in harm reduction.
With masks on, and this was weird because we knew that both of them had been vaccinated, and that's when we started to wonder. Now, either this was some kind of weird fetish ritual they're into. Get the mask. It's time to kiss. Or else the White House wasn't telling us everything about the.
Wait. So here's the leap in logic. The vice president is being shown kissing with the mask on or whatever. So therefore the conclusion must be they must be hiding something. I mean, boy, that's a leap in logic. Please delete my message. Ban, spread it forward. Gotcha. Okay. And this is a PDF. Okay.
The vaccine. Well, they're still not telling us everything about the vaccine, but yesterday they dropped more clues about it. The administration now says that all people, including people who have been vaccinated, are going to have to wear masks, but only depending upon where they live.
Right.
So if you're in something called a high or substantial COVID transmission region,
yes,
you better prepare to put on your little mask.
Yes.
Now, what are those regions? What does this mean exactly? Well, for the answer to that pressing question, which could affect your life, we go right to the source.
Okay, guys. Yeah, I do remember when me wearing a piece of cloth or a mask affected my life significantly. Till this day, I will never be the same human being after wearing a literal piece of like thing over my mouth. It's just the quality of life has just been like so 180.
Here's the man who helped to create COVID in the first place. Watch him explain.
Whoa. Source? So you saw that he just made that up, right? He just made a claim. Mass improved my life. I'm no longer debilitatingly anxious to go out and risk recognition. Well, there you go. That's one reason. People are scared and confused about the virus, plus the world seems unsettled, so they want to believe what they want. Yeah, but one of the reasons why we're so confused is because we are arguing about facts. Like, there is a certain percentage of the population that is just simply not living in reality. That's just the way it is. And it's because of people like Tucker Carlson that we're in this situation. Snowflakes Drew. Hey, Heat, how's it going? Howdy, howdy. I like keeping other people spit off me regardless. True. Help create curvature, Cucker. No, Memmius, they've already tried. They've already tried. You know what they end up saying? Well, why would you ever listen to this person? This person isn't like here to give you facts or in any way, shape, or form be an arbiter of truth. He's here to entertain you. Like, why would any reasonable person believe anything that he's saying? That's their defense. It always has been.
So if you're in something called a high or substantial COVID transmission region, you better prepare to put on your little mask. Now, what are those regions? What does this mean exactly? Well, for the answer to that pressing question, which could affect your life, we go right to the source. Here's the man who helped to create COVID in the first place.
Helped to create COVID. And of course, there's absolutely no source. There's no source to that claim whatsoever. He's just making it up. Like, he's literally just making this up.
Can explain.
The recommendations and the guidelines have been changed to say that if you are vaccinated, even though you are vaccinated, you are in an indoor public setting in an area of the country with a high degree of viral dynamics, namely the red and orange sections on the CDC chart, then you need to wear a mask, even though you are vaccinated.
Well, that makes total sense. Of course, you're required to wear a mask even if you've been vaccinated, depending upon where you live. Well, how do you know if you live in one of those places? Well, according to Dr. Fauci, you just check the red and orange sections on the CDC chart. Oh, right. The red and orange sections on the CDC chart that you keep in your wallet next to your AAA card. Just look carefully. And if
What? What is he on about? What? Are you okay, Tucker?
If you do, you'll
Dude, I think Tucker's like losing it. I'm not even kidding. Like, somebody needs to get this man help. I honestly think he's losing it. He has been like going down this like weird conspiratorial arc for the last like 2 weeks, like hard, more so than usual. True, super.
See, the red and orange sections account for more than 60% of the entire United States of America. Where, though? Well, Union County, Oregon. That's on the map. Union County, Oregon has a population of 25,000 people. It's small, it's pretty. People live there, think it's nice, but the CDC calls it dangerous. That's strange. Union County, Oregon hasn't had a single COVID death in nearly 2 months. Doesn't matter. It's red and orange, so wear your mask if you wind up there, if you dare.
What? The death count has nothing to do with the spread of COVID? What? The reason why you wear a mask is not to prevent death, but to prevent the spread of the disease? What?
Same with Washington, D.C. It was a red and orange zone as of yesterday afternoon. Officials in Washington report that just 2 people have died of COVID in the past 2 weeks. Doesn't matter. The administration will be requiring mask use there anyway.
Nope. Again, so... Okay. We're gonna woosah, yeah? Masks aren't there to keep you alive. Okay? I mean, in a really roundabout way, I guess, but like, the purpose of the quote-unquote mask isn't to save your life, it's to prevent the spread of a disease that can potentially mess you up, alright? Jesus Christ. They've always ignored that masks only prevent the spread and not contraction. True! That's the whole point. I mean, like, the CDC and like all these health officials have said it from the beginning.
According to Willie Brown's girlfriend, that's science. But is it science?
Not only that, like, if you wear a mask and other people wear masks, the chances of not only reduction in transmission, but the viral load, if it were to happen that you'd catch it, it's very minimal. So therefore, it actually translates to potentially being even less harmful. Do I stream every day? I stream Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. ish. Usually we go on about 11:20 Monday through Thursday. And on Saturdays, we have Saturday Catterdays, where we just have a little bit of a more loose, chill session. Usually the co-host hangs with us during that time. And it is Catterday, so on Saturdays, there's a 100% chance that there is a kitty cat on stream in some way, shape, or form. Right, both parties, then it's 95% reduction. Correct. That's why it's recommended that more people wear it, because it helps reduce the spread. Where was Union Country? I think it's Oregon. They said Oregon.
Look at this chart of COVID deaths in the UK. They're right on your screen now. Now the numbers
and now we pivot. Because this is Oregon. Sorry, this is UK. This is UK data. Farley the Legend, thank you for the follow. This is UK data. This has nothing to do with the United States.
Have been low, pretty low since April. But what's interesting is that those numbers have stayed low even after the British government lifted its mandatory mask mandate. Huh, that's weird. As one economist who studies the subject at JP Morgan put it, and we're quoting, the current Delta...
He gifting a tier 1 sub to Harley Ellis. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you. I was going to prime in an hour when my timer was up. Good timing. Hey.
Wave is turning out to be much, much milder than we had anticipated. Oh, wow, that sounds like a good news. Has anyone told the politicians? No, don't bother. They don't want to hear it. In Los Angeles, officials brought back the mask mandate when COVID cases moved up so slightly, it is hard even to measure the rise on a chart. Look at it. Here's the graph. This is a graph of COVID cases in Los Angeles County. We put a line at the point where politicians in LA brought back the mask mandate. They said they had to because there was a spike. You're looking at the spike. That's the spike. They cited as justification.
Wait.
Well, as you'll note, if your eyes are open, it is barely noticeable.
Wait. Hold on. What's the argument? Because if the mask mandate was instituted at the time where they realized where the trend was going, wouldn't that mean that that's the reason why they would do it? They can see the trend going in the wrong direction. Okay. I'll prime whoever you raid. All right.
So the question is, do politicians in Los Angeles know something that we don't know? We can't be sure of that. We do know fairly certainly that the news media are lying about the actual science in order to justify the new restrictions. Now, why would they want to do that? We have no idea, but that's exactly what they're doing. Here's one example. In Florida, the Sun Sentinel newspaper recently ran this headline, quote, "New COVID cases nearly double in Florida, the worst in the nation." Holy
True. Wait, that's true.
Smokes. Better run to Georgia. And to show how scary this was in the state of Florida, the otherwise placid state to which so many are moving, they included a chart that shows an uptick in positive test results. You're seeing it on your screen now, and it's terrifying. So those are the test results. But actually, who cares?
What? This is unbelievable to me. Hey, from one Florida man to another. Wait. Who cares? I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait. Wait. Where's the graph? Oh, shoot. Sorry, I have to use Google for this. Oh yeah. Hey guys, who cares? We're already back to even further than last year's numbers. We're back, and by the way, that's 92 deaths that we're talking about.
What matters is the harm. And what the Sun Sentinel did not include is the chart that shows COVID deaths. I wonder why. Oh, because those are near zero. And
that's not true. That's literally not true. That's like factually not true. And not only that, if he's so worried about harm, then he would know. Well, I mean, he knows this. He's just lying. He would know that COVID doesn't just kill you, right? COVID doesn't just kill you. You know there's like long-term effects of COVID, right? Even in like healthy people who go through a bout of COVID, right? They have long COVID, which are permanent like symptoms from dealing with it, right? They didn't die. They're not part of the death count, but now they have like permanent lung damage or permanent kidney damage, or even I heard that there are studies indicating that there may be even neurological damage. Yeah. Talk about harm. That's the problem with COVID, right? That is the problem. Jesus Christ. Yeah, Jon Stewart is a national treasure.
That's a very different picture, as you can see. And of course, that's the picture that actually matters. That's the picture from which we ought to be making public health policy. Now, it wasn't so long ago that all of us understood that. People like Tony Fauci, in fact, told us out loud that the goal was to keep people from dying of COVID. And that sounded very reasonable to everybody.
Yeah.
That's why they said we needed the vaccine. And that's why millions of people took the vaccine.
Yeah.
Now that they have taken the vaccine, politicians have decided that actually they can't part with the enormous, unprecedented levels of power they have amassed over the last year. So they're going to keep ordering you around regardless of the science.
What? Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is a deep conspiracy from the radical Democrats. They're out there to control you by making you, without any type of national mandate, somehow making you subservient by wearing a mask. What? Does this sound like reasonable to anybody?
And of course, Tony Fauci is going to do his best to defend it all, because in the end, he's one of them.
Oh,
Something has changed, and what has changed is the virus. The CDC hasn't changed, and the CDC hasn't really flip-flopped at all.
Right. So I hate this. Like sometimes, like the media will do this where they say CDC reverses guidelines on masks. No, they don't. They give you updated information based on new tests or new data or new whatever, new studies. They don't reverse course on anything. They just give you the new updated information. Holy yikes! This isn't hard to understand. And like, I have seen headlines like that. I have seen headlines where like CDC reverses course. They didn't reverse course on anything. Okay, in terms of like what this mask mandate means.
Yeah, the CDC, there have been no flip-flops at all. We've been totally consistent. If it looks like we repainted the slogans on the side of the barn, all animals are created equal, but some are equal to others, it's just an illusion. No flip.
What? Really? We're gonna drag Animal Farm into this? Holy yikes.
Flip-flops. We seem to remember that in the past year, Tony Fauci has gone from telling us not to wear masks. They're totally useless, and plus...
Because at the time we had different information and we had other conditions at that time.
Doctors need them to wear masks or you will die, to wear
that's not
masks or you will die, to don't wear any masks.
That's not also what he said. This is a wild mischaracterization.
So all back to now, you'd better wear masks. And now
you better wear masks. That's not Okay.
Now he's telling us he has never flip-flopped on masks. So YouTube had better get to work tonight deleting all of those previous videos, or else we're going to have a lot of trouble believing Tony Fauci. And no doubt they're deleting them even as we speak. The bottom line, whether you believe Fauci or not, is that this is getting very confusing. This is an administration that has told us they're in charge of our health and in charge of fighting this global pandemic.
Yeah.
They're not doing a good job of explaining what the science is.
Okay, well, listen, there is a certain degree of truth to the fact that, like, some of the messaging or some of the ways these guidelines have been, I guess, administered. You can criticize, like, okay, look, they maybe should have taken different rhetorical approaches. Maybe they should have waited on some of those updated guidelines. Sure, but that doesn't mean we just, like, throw out science, right? Like, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden we just disregard everything. Like, and furthermore, again, Tucky boy, science changes and we adapt and update that as new information comes in. Like, that's kind of part of it. It's kind of a part of being an adult, Tucker. Yeah, we grow up, we realize that some things are not like we thought they were, and then we change our information based on that. Tucky Wucky.
They're doing such a bad job that even Kamala Harris doesn't seem to know what she thinks. Here was Harris just yesterday, even as she spoke, contradicting her.
I don't care what Kamala Harris has to say. Like, I really don't care about what, like, Joe Biden or Kamala Harris has to say in terms of, like, science. I literally don't care. Now, if it's a remittance of information that's backed by science, that is a different story. But the reality is, I literally don't care what any politician has to say regarding science.
Own administration's guidance by explaining, as Joe Biden did 2 months ago, that once you get vaccinated, actually don't have to wear a mask. Now, as you watch this, see if you can spot the clue that it's just possible that Kamala Harris doesn't really believe what she's saying as she says it. See if you can spot it.
People need to get vaccinated. That's
True.
the only way. We're going to cut this thing off.
True.
Nobody likes wearing a mask. Get vaccinated.
So you don't have to wear a mask if you're vaccinated, says the vaccinated lady who's wearing a mask. Does your head hurt yet trying to...
The only thing that's causing me headache is you. Jesus Christ.
You know, it might just be easier to stop thinking entirely and just obey. Maybe that's...
What? Hey guys, you know what? We just can't do the science thing. We just can't do the science thing. We just gotta throw it out. Okay? It's useless. No, it doesn't matter. It's useless. Even before the government asks you, but in America, the government asks you to wear a mask. It's somehow political. True.
That's the real message here. On the other hand, and we're trying to be charitable, it is possible the administration's guidance is so all over the map, so lacking in scientific substance, and so...
That's not true.
...so confusing that Kamala Harris can't follow it despite her extensive medical background as someone who dated Willie Brown. That's...
What? Hey, yeah, I too remember when I just magically got a master's, a bachelor's in economics by dating, like, an economics graduate. Yeah, I remember that too. It's just osmosis. It just happens. That's right, Heat. This guy's actually more dangerous than Alex Jones because he doesn't present as crazy as Alex. People think he's a professional. Right. That's the danger about this guy. You're right. And yes, and he's got a huge, massive platform, which is why we cover this.
Possible. Now, Rochelle Walensky is an actual doctor. She went to Harvard. She's the director, in fact, of the CDC. She's never been elected to anything, but since this is a pandemic, Rochelle Walensky's word is law. It's more powerful than anything the Congress produces. She's her own...
What?
...federal agency. In fact, she sits between king and God somewhere there on the continuum. So listen carefully as Rochelle Walensky tells you that COVID is killing twice as many children as influenza does. Watch.
I mean, can we get the stats on the flu? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but like, when did the flu, at any point in almost a year and something, let's just say 2 years, killed, when has the flu killed 600,000 people? 611,000 people. And like, Pirate Ninja says, whataboutism? This is whataboutism. We're dealing with something completely different that has nothing to do with anything.
I think it's really important for people to understand that this is not a benign disease in kids compared to other diseases that our kids see. So if you look at the mortality rate of COVID just this past year for children, it's more than twice the mortality rate that we see in influenza in a given year.
So you're not supposed to...
Yeah, this is bad messaging. I think that the messaging should have been like, look, this is a very, we need to take this seriously. This pandemic is very serious. It can affect children, as we've seen. So in order for us to move forward, just please wear your mask. If you're under 12 and you're not eligible for vaccines, wear your mask. And if you're over 12, then we recommend that you take the vaccine. And if you're in highly, in high rates of COVID area, please wear your mask. It does help to kind of contain this. If we all act like adults in the next couple of months, then we can, talk about the next step. But like, holy Jesus Christ. Yeah, random amount of context. Politicians saying something was proof that people are like trying to control you. Yeah, that's the whole. That's really what the whole picture is here.
To question that, and we didn't really dare to check those numbers because who are we to check the numbers from an unelected federal bureaucrat when she's commanding us to obey? So we didn't. We just took it at face value. But a guy called Phil Kerpen, who's a columnist and good at math, had some free time, and he decided to check the CDC numbers on what the CDC director just claimed on CNN. And what did he find? He found that the director of the CDC has no idea what she's talking about. So here are the actual numbers from the CDC website. From 2019 to 2020, according to the CDC, a total of 124 children died of COVID. From 2020 to this year, which is not done yet, a total of 213 children died of COVID. Now, by comparison, the influenza virus killed more than 400 children just last year. And in fact, that was not an aberration. Influenza has killed far more children than COVID has in each of the past 5 years. In fact, it's not even close.
Wait. Can somebody tell me what the problem is in that statement? In the past 5 years? In the past 5 years? 5? Jesus Christ, you really have to massage that data. Holy yikes.
And all of that is assuming that the CDC's numbers on underage deaths from COVID are accurate. And it looks like they're not. In a recent report, the CDC itself acknowledges it could be vastly over-reporting the number of children who have died from COVID. The CDC report says that when considering everyone who died of COVID, roughly 2.5% of those who died had a coexisting medical condition unrelated to their deaths. But for children under the age of 18, that number went up dramatically. It was over 35%. Over 35% of children who died from COVID had what the CDC called a, quote, unrelated medical condition. In other words, more than a third of children who were listed on the official...
Yeah. Most of these deaths are because people had comorbidities that exacerbated a very, very powerful respiratory disease. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay.
Records as dying from COVID had a comorbidity that the CDC assures us cannot possibly be related to COVID. But it appears, upon closer examination, that the comorbidities might in fact be related to the deaths of those children. And we're going to pause here and say, why are we getting so precise about these numbers? Because these numbers are being used to justify putting a mask on your third grader for an entire freaking year at school. What's
oh no, the horror.
The effect on a child of doing that?
Get
of
over yourself, Tucker.
People whose faces he can't see. Of breathing cotton fiber for 10 hours a day.
Breathing cotton fiber. Wait. Is he making the argument that like there's somehow like this like chemical agent that's like contaminating you as you breathe in what? As you breathe in your mask? Oh god, this is anti-vax like nonsense. This is like conspiratorial nonsense that gets debunked every day. Holy yikes. Yeah, I do remember when like surgeons who practice, who do surgery for like hours and hours and hours on end, I do remember them getting sick with, quote, cotton whatever nonsense. You're someone who freaks out about medical privacy. You're concerned with comorbidity issues. True.
Every day. They're profound.
That's a HIPAA violation.
So these numbers matter. So for every other age group, these sorts of comorbidities are much rarer, and that makes sense when you consider that COVID is much less dangerous for children. Now, Joseph Allen is a scientist who works on the Lancet's COVID committee. He found that, quote, 3 major studies over the past year all found the risk of death to be in the range of 1 in 100,000 to 1 in 1 million. Hospitalization rates for school-age children younger than 12, the group that can't get vaccinated yet, hovered around 3 or 4 per million throughout.
Okay. Yeah, we know that COVID, generally speaking, doesn't affect children as much. However, here's the problem. Those kids I know this is a wild concept, but those kids have parents. Yes, I know. I know. And they also have teachers who are adults who may get messed up by COVID. This is wild. Some kids may even live with grandparents. Wow, I know. Amazing.
The pandemic. If you need perspective, those are extremely low numbers. Much lower than the CDC director just
Yes,
cited.
that's right.
Dr. Martin Carey, who works at Johns Hopkins, found a, quote, mortality rate of 0 among children without a pre-existing medical condition such as leukemia. So in the face of those numbers, which they're all lying about, based on their own reporting, this is apples to apples. The director of the CDC just lied about what the numbers are that her own organization produces.
But he sacrificed to say the old's true.
The kids should be forced to wear masks and take the COVID vaccine. Clearly, there's no science to back that up.
Wait,
Rochelle Lewinsky does
that's
not
that's not what she said.
Based on their own reporting.
That's not what she said.
Apples. The director of the CDC just lied about what the numbers are that her own organization produces. But based on those numbers, they're saying...
Now, watch this little slip, right? Watch the slip.
The kids should be forced to wear masks and take the COVID vaccine.
And take the COVID vaccine. You saw that little whoop? That little slip in there? Yeah. No. Unless you're over 12, then you are not eligible for the vaccine. Therefore, you should wear a mask. The kids.
Clearly, there's no science to back that up. But Rochelle Lewinsky does not care. She is instead full force leading the charge for more mandates for children and adults. In fact, according to Rochelle Lewinsky, we need vaccine passports to make certain that people who haven't gotten the shot can't leave their homes or make a living.
That's not true.
I know they're doing it in Europe, but you're not CDC director of Europe, which I'm sure you're plenty happy about. But they're issuing health passes there, right? Where, you can go to a disco, or a discotheque as they like to call it there, if you have a health pass. Is that something that the CDC would ever lean into or perhaps advise here?
I think some communities are doing that, and that may very well be a path forward.
That may very well be.
Wait, so she's not proposing anything? Cool. Okay. And she said maybe it would be a good idea. Maybe. And?
Be a path forward. We're the people who are going to protect us against this. This is insane. Who's going to stand up and say so? No one so far. And so instead, the floor is left to Rochelle Lewinsky and people like her, manipulators of data, liars. We need vaccines immediately. Everybody should be forced.
Wait. Says the person who just spent 15 minutes manipulating and massaging data for propaganda purposes and lying, and just straight up lying, making stuff up, unironically just making stuff up. I don't like to shame people for they can't help it. Is he going through a second puberty? Who knows?
Now, if there's one message around COVID that has been consistent from the Biden administration from day one, it's that. Get the vaccine, don't ask questions. The Biden administration's lackeys in the media have pushed the same message from
That's what? What?
Day one with increasing ferocity and humorlessness. What is going on here? Max Boot of the Washington Post, the dumbest columnist ever to work at that newspaper.
Ooh, ad homs. Ooh boy. So we have so much leaps in logic in this video that I'm having trouble to keep up. But and then we sprinkle on the ad hominems. Jesus Christ.
Just explained the, quote, progressive case for forced vaccinations. Quote, words I never thought I'd write. Saudi Arabia is being more progressive than America, says Boot. Saudis will need to show proof of vaccination to enter schools, shops, malls, restaurants, concerts.
Wait, this guy, Max Boot, isn't even correct, because there are certain areas where you actually do need to show proof of vax. And furthermore, there are schools where you do need to show proof. I mean, we do this with other vaccines. We do this with other diseases. I believe that it was the ad campaign in Colorado. Get the vaccine, don't ask questions. Oh, okay. Yikes. I suppose every conspiracy has a real grain of truth to it.
Public transportation. Oh, that's progressive, forcing people to take medicine they don't want to take. By the way, the vaccination rate in Saudi Arabia is far lower than the vaccination rate in the United States, but they're more progressive somehow because they use more force. That's how distorted the left has become. But the bigger question is if the vaccine...
What? Yes, I'm going to use one tweet from one guy to then paint the entire picture like that. The entire left with one broad stroke. Nice meme.
Works as well as they claim it does. Why are so many vaccinated people getting COVID? It's not just happening to Democrats who flee Texas to stop the legislature from working.
Wait, that's a leap in logic. That's a leap in logic. Hold on.
Restaurants, concerts, public transportation. Oh, that's progressive, forcing people to take medicine they don't want to take. By the way, the vaccination rate in Saudi Arabia is far lower than the vaccination rate in the United States, but they're more progressive somehow because they use more force. That's how distorted the left has become. But the bigger question is if the vaccine
Calx, thank you for the follow.
Vaccine works as well as they claim it does. Why are so many vaccinated people getting COVID?
Because you can get COVID even though you're vaccinated. And as we're finding out with new data, it turns out that the reason why this Delta variant is being such a problematic variant is because even though that, yeah, sure, you're vaccinated and you're very protected, like you're pretty protected. A, nobody claimed it was 100%. And 2, the Delta variant is showing that actually those folks who are vaccinated and happen to get it are showing that actually there's more viral load than they originally thought. Okay, that's why this is happening. Yeah, it turns out we do science to kind of back that information up. Because we're using the honor system, so the spread has not stopped. Did we ever believe the honor system would not work in America? That's true. That's very true. One of the issues, and I think we touched on it, Pirate Ninja, was like, one of the criticisms of the CDC, like a valid, completely logical criticism, was they prematurely said vaccinated folks who are hanging out with vaccinated folks can take off their mask. Well, people took this as the green light, and folks who are unvaccinated, pretending to be vaccinated, started just taking off their masks, like as if nothing was happening. And yes, Salio, and furthermore, there's literally no, there's no governmental agency, like goons coming to your house, breaking down your door, holding you down as you, like, scream out for freedom, and they jab you with the vaccine. Like, that's not what's happening. What is happening is that you know, if you're eligible for the vaccine, if your child is eligible for the vaccine, that schools and other areas are requiring that, just like any other vaccine. Why are people reluctant to take the vaccine? Because they're being propagandized by people like Tucker Carlson.
It's not just happening to Democrats who flee Texas to stop the legislature.
I had to smack my
happening to a
Xbox
lot of people,
sometimes.
probably people you know.
In
Most of them
Roblox.
are fine, not all of them, but they're still getting COVID. Piers Morgan tested positive for COVID after taking both doses of the AstraZeneca shot in the UK.
Yeah,
Milwaukee
we know.
Brewers outfielder Christian Yelich also tested positive after getting vaccinated.
Yeah,
a
we
medical
know.
assistant from Minneapolis called Jumai Nachi had to have her legs amputated after receiving a second dose of the Pfizer vaccine. And in New Orleans, a 33-year-old fully vaccinated business owner called...
I'm press X out, but hey, I guess these anecdotes are the only thing that you need to listen to, right, folks?
And Jill Mosley just died of corona. Now, why did this happen? We don't know. We're not Rochelle Walensky. We're not going to make up stuff if we can't actually answer it. But it's becoming really clear the science is slightly more complicated, doesn't it?
Wait, we know the answers to this. I just told you. It's because we're realizing that actually this Delta variant is containing more viral loads among the vaccinated, which is continuing to perpetuate the spread, and blah, 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 right? And furthermore, these 5 anecdotes don't nowhere near the amount of vaccinated folks of, like, the tens of millions.
Doesn't mean the vaccine doesn't work or it's not worth taking, but don't lie to us. It doesn't always work. You know people who've gotten COVID after...
Wait, nobody, literally, he's literally just making this up. He's literally just making this up. From the beginning, Pfizer, Moderna, and J&J said it was about 90-ish, 95% effective. Nobody's lying. The only person lying here is you.
You're getting a double vax. Again, it doesn't make a dose of the Pfizer vaccine. And in New Orleans, a 33-year-old fully vaccinated business owner called Angel Mosley just died of corona. Now, why did this happen? We don't know. We're not Rochelle Walensky. We're not going to make up stuff if we can't actually answer it. But it's becoming really clear the science is slightly more complicated. It doesn't mean the vaccine doesn't work or it's not worth taking. But don't lie to us. It doesn't always work. You know people who've gotten COVID after getting a double vax. Again, it doesn't mean it's not worth taking, but stop lying to us. If you want us to have confidence in your medicine, then tell us the full truth. But they won't.
What?
They've been telling us for 6 months that this vaccine is perfect. But clearly...
it wasn't. Nobody said that. I mean, like, this is literally just him making stuff up. Holy yikes.
In some cases, it doesn't always work. And that's not our theory, by the way. We take it from the guy who created COVID. Watch this.
And again, now, did you see that pivot, or not pivot, but, like, I guess moving the goalposts would be. So he started off by saying that Fauci was in cahoots at the beginning. Now he's calling him the creator of COVID, right? Which is a pseudo like ad hom, and B, literally just making it up.
Now that we have a Delta variant, that has changed the entire landscape.
Yes. That's literally Fauci explaining to you why the situation has changed. He's telling you why the situation has changed. Right, comorbidities. That's a great point. Yeah, all of a sudden comorbidities, non-existent. We'll never watch. It sucks that anyone who watches that garbage will never watch the pushback to Tucker's propaganda. True, but I mean, somebody's got to push back against it.
Because when you look at the level of virus in the nasopharynx of a vaccinated person who gets a breakthrough infection with Delta, it is exactly the same as the level of virus in an unvaccinated person.
In other words, we're seeing a much higher levels of whatever scientific term he just used there, a much more viral load than we originally thought. Because, well, we didn't have that data until now. Like, he's literally telling you how this works, okay? We got new information, and now the new information is indicating X, Y, and Z, so now we got to change course and do the appropriate procedure based on this new information. Holy, this isn't like that hard to understand. It's unbelievable to me.
Who's infected? That's the problem. So those data are very compelling, and that triggered the change in the CDC guideline.
Thank you.
So the level
that's literally it. That's it.
of virus, and we're quoting now, is exactly the same as the level of virus in an unvaccinated person. What? What does that even mean? We're not even going to speculate as to what that means. But if this is...
Because... Is that too hard to understand? Okay.
The administration is trying to reassure the country and justify forcing people to take medicine they don't want. Maybe they should wake up and figure out what...
Nobody's forcing anybody.
They're trying to say, and then explain it to people. The truth is, we don't know. And we don't know what we don't know. And here's how we know that we don't know what we don't know about this vaccine. The other day, Pfizer's purchase agreement with the Albanian government leaked out onto the internet. There are a lot of fascinating things in that document, lots of legalese. But in between it all were quotes like this, and this is from that document. Purchaser acknowledges the long-term effects and efficacy of the vaccine are not currently known, and that there may be adverse effects of the vaccine that are not currently.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, hey, breaking news, folks. Breaking news. A vaccine that has been out for a year, we don't have data for long-term... we don't have long-term data on a vaccine that has been out for a year and something. Breaking news, folks. Like, what? Wait, so we're supposed to somehow, like, have, like, precognition, travel to the future or something? Like, what? Is this supposed to be a gotcha? Like, but do you see the danger about this, right? Do you see the implication? The implication being then is, of course, he's trying to say or try to sow doubt, right? He's trying to sow doubt. That's what this is about. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Well, hold up. Medicine has disclaimers? No way. Unbelievable. No way. No way. Furthermore, you know what we do know? You know what we do have data on? The effects of COVID. You know what we do have data on? The long-term effects of COVID so far. Long COVID. And what we mean by long COVID is effects that are persistent even though you're completely free and clear of the virus. So yeah, these things we do know. Jesus Christ, what a fucking clown.
Well, is that reassuring? What are those effects? And why don't we know? And why can't we ask? No one's pausing to ask questions.
What? No one's asking these questions? What, you don't think that they're going to study this? Of course they are. Of course they are. They're doing constant new studies all the time. We just went over a new one that they're trying to do by mixing vaccines together. They're mixing AstraZeneca and Pfizer, and they're realizing maybe that's even more efficient. They're doing new tests and new data all the time. What are you talking about? What gets me is the people who fear it affects their fertility. These people already have like 5 kids, and also COVID affects fertility. We don't know that yet. we have seen, from what I understand, and unless there's like something pointing otherwise, a handful of anecdote cases of women having a unusual menstrual cycle. So we don't really know if that means any effects on fertility is a thing. And like also I think the way like the mRNA vaccines work, they don't really have anything to do with that from what I understand. But I'm sure we'll have more and more data to come to come by. To be fair, if you get both doses, the hospitalization chance is reduced to 1%, which is quite remarkable. True. What I meant is that I see. Yep. It's pretty shocking that Tucker isn't more worried about the potential effects of fertility. He talks about white. Is that true? It may or may not, but you can get COVID if you want to risk it. Yeah, like roll the dice. Anyone who plays D&D understands the fact that like just because you have a 1% chance, it's not far off as you seem. Roll the dice. Go for it. Hey, good point. Oh, hold on. Redacted just brought up an excellent point. You know what also leads to infertility? Death. True. True.
At this moment, though, that's not allowed. Nancy Pelosi definitely won't allow it. You're an anti-vaxxer if you ask those questions. Do masks work? She doesn't care. Pelosi is threatening to punish any member of Congress who doesn't wear a mask on the House floor, and most obey.
She's had that mask mandate since the beginning. Okay, and furthermore, keeping the mask mandate is in line with the current CDC guidelines, as DC is experiencing a high surge. Okay.
Hey, watch this.
Members are reminded that under House Resolution 38, the Sergeant at Arms is authorized and directed to impose a fine against any member acting in violation of this policy.
Ooh, Nancy Pelosi is going to fine you if you don't pretend that it's science when it's clearly just a form of social control. Most Republicans went along with this. Not all of them did, though. Chip Roy, a member of Congress from Texas, just delivered remarks against it. Here's part of what Chip Roy said.
We have a crisis at our border, and we're playing footsie with mask mandates in the people's house.
There's a crisis at the border. It's the brown people. Also, not everyone in the Senate is vaccinated. That's also true. So yeah, you kind of, and the House. So yeah, mask mandates are still necessary.
I mean, it's absolutely absurd what this body is doing, the people's house. It's an embarrassment. It's a mockery. And the American
people
is an
embarrassment.
Like, they want to go back to life. They want to go back to business. They want to go back to school without their children being forced to wear masks.
You're the living embodiment of embarrassment. You're absolutely correct. And if you want life to return to quote unquote normal, and you want this to end, which I agree, I do want this to end. I want to get this over with, especially before it decides to give us another variant, which would circumvent the vaccines that are currently in place. Then just here's like a wild thought. Encourage people to get vaccinated and get ahead of this thing, right? How about we just do that? Encourage people to get vaccinated and accept like the facts about the science behind it, and let's get ahead of this thing and let's just get it over with. Just act like adults for the next couple of months. Jesus Christ. Instead of out here like grandstanding, crying like a petulant child.
Masks. To be put in the corner, to have mental health issues. And the speaker comes down here at 10 o'clock in the morning saying we got to wear masks in the people's house while we've got thousands of people pouring across our border and Democrats don't do a darn thing about it. We are absolutely sick and tired of it, and so are the American people. This sham of an institution is doing nothing for the American people, nothing for the betterment of the people that send their representatives here.
Why didn't they all say that? Hard to know, but Chip Roy did.
Jesus Christ. But we've been fearing on all this time about the scary government, and but also simultaneously, I want the government to work now. I don't know. This seems like ridiculous to me. That was 20 minutes of cringe. That like unironically like made my head spin. But we had to get through it. Right, because like this is dangerous, and I seriously just want this to end, right? And I want people to understand that like we can do our part. So are they also communists coming over? Who knows? They're whatever they need to be. This is the people's house, and we can't smell what Rock's cooking because Pelosi's forcing us to wear masks. True. Anyways, folks.
Please clap.
All right. So we're going to try to get through some of this in a lightning round. All right, we're going to do lightning round headlines, okay? Okay. Climate change has become real. Real. Oh, now it's real, folks. When it affects a prime U.S. tourism and business, that's when it's real, folks. At Lake Powell on Arizona-Utah border, the waterline has dropped to a historic low, taking a heavy toll on local industry. Yeah, look at this. The picture speaks for itself. At what point do we finally understand that we have to take this seriously, right? I mean, these people are literally are now acknowledging the fact that climate change exists because it's affecting their business, right? It's affecting their livelihood. This guy, during what should have been prime houseboat vacation season, West said he'd been forced to cancel timeshare reservations for more than 200 trips this summer, with his business slamming to a halt, and he says that he may need to lay off as much as 40 employees. Yeah, so if you want to do the best thing that you can for your country, for your economy, address climate change. It's costing jobs, it's costing livelihoods, it's costing money, it's costing people's houses, it's killing people. I mean, literally killing people. So yeah, I think that this is yet another example of what's the normal to come. Literally, this is what's going to be normal should we choose to continue down this path. And they're comparing it to COVID. And if our response to COVID has taught us anything, we've got a lot of lessons to learn, and in order for us to deal with this. Washington State is the first Washington State County is the first in the U.S. to ban new fossil fuel infrastructure. This is something I really really want to applaud. You know why? The reason why I think that this is a pertinent story, because this happened because of the City Council unanimously passed a measure that bans the construction of new refineries, coal-fired plants, and other fossil fuel-related infrastructure. In other words, the stuff that I've been talking about getting involved in local politics, if you can, make sure you know who your city council is. Make sure you, if you can, attend the city council meetings. Sometimes they're on Zoom, sometimes they're live, and know who your city council is and see what they're up to, right? Because this kind of stuff, if you get involved, can make a difference. I know it's not going to just solve climate change on the dime, but these are something. This is a tool you can use to try to do what we can within the time that we have, with the tools that we have, to kind of attempt to adapt and mitigate this crisis, right? This is an example, and I think it's incredibly important to highlight that, right? This city council had the ability to stop construction of any new refineries, no more coal-fired plants, and any other fossil fuel infrastructure. It's done, right? Unless it gets revoked. But the point being is they're not going to engage in this anymore. Okay, that is a step forward, and that happens because people got involved in local politics and elected these city council folks, right? So a blueprint, maybe something that we can use, because I'm out of ideas, you know, in terms of how to build the political will to try to address this. Senate votes to advance the bipartisan infrastructure bill as Democrats forge ahead with ambitious economic agenda. So the vote to advance this bipartisan infrastructure plan has moved forward. We will see what type of infrastructure we get out of this. I think that this might be somewhat in a step of the right direction in terms of some of economic wise, but this is not the full bill. This is only the bipartisan part. The other part, which is the reconciliation one, is the more important one, because that one is supposedly, allegedly, the one that's going to contain, supposedly, the climate change and other important stuff in it, right? So we will see what happens with that as that vote gets down to it. There's a couple of weeks left and a couple of months left, and I hope that they do put that climate change initiatives, what little climate change initiatives there is, in that reconciliation, because if not, then it's going to look really bad. Like Bernie said, it has to be from the ground up. True. Migrant child coronavirus outbreak. Whistleblowers say they were told to downplay infections at Fort Bliss. Hey, didn't we just watch a Tucker Carlson segment saying that it's not really a big deal for kids? Two federal whistleblowers are alleging that the Department of Health and Human Services instructed them to downplay the coronavirus outbreak amongst children being housed at facility this year. According to a complaint filed on Wednesday, the complaint was just sent to 4 congressional committees, and government watchdogs was filed by the nonprofit Government Accountability Project on behalf of Arthur Perlstein and Lauren Reinhold, who said they're career federal civil servants and whistleblowers who served as volunteer detailees at Fort Bliss Emergency Intake Site from April through June of 2021. COVID was widespread among children and eventually spread to many employees. So yeah, it turns out that it is important to have proper protection for kids who are ineligible to get the vaccine, because yeah, it turns out they actually spread it to employees who are adults. This isn't like a massively like controversial concept, right? And here we have like clowns like Tucker Carlson saying that, well, why should we mask up the children? It's not like there's adults or anything like that who could get it, or who could bring it back to their parents or grandparents, God forbid. And furthermore, red flag. Why are they downplaying the spread of COVID in these facilities, particularly how they affect children? The manager of this place said N95 masks were unnecessary for the infected, even though uninfected detailees were working with infected children. Holy yikes. I think a complete what's the word? Oversight, like a complete not, oh god, what is it when the inspections, yes, that's the word, sorry, I like completely blanked out there. An entire inspection, a complete overview of inspections needs to happen throughout all of these facilities. That's basically what needs to happen at this point. An entire like row of inspections need to happen. Because again, it doesn't just affect children, it's spreading and it's continuing to perpetuate this pandemic. And also, that's kind of messed up, don't you think? Think about that for a second. Ex-police officer who stormed the U.S. Capitol is jailed after buying 37 guns and posting that violence is better than peaceful protest. A Virginia police officer who was fired after storming the Capitol. Oh, so he was a police officer up until he was found participating in the insurrection. Was jailed on Wednesday by a federal judge because he ordered a large stockpile of guns and ammunition after his January arrest. Holy yikes. A red flag? How did he obtain this? And posted online in support for future political violence. Thomas Robertson, a retired Army reservist who later worked for the Rocky Mountain Police Department, was one of the first rioters charged by the Justice Department. Yeah, so nice meme. Nice meme. There's a probable cause to believe that Robertson committed a felony, willfully shipping or transporting firearms and ammunition despite being under felony indictment. Cool. Nice meme. But yeah, you know, another example of very, very peaceful tourist. Very peaceful tourist. Madam President Cinema says she opposes 3.5 trillion price tag for the spending bill. Between her and Manchin, this is going to be a massive headache trying to get some of this going. Particularly, I'm worried about the climate change initiatives, whatever little climate change initiatives there are, that can easily be torpedoed by Madam President Kyrsten Sinema and President Joe Manchin. We will continue to monitor this because I think this is important. All right, nitty gritty, guys. Nitty gritty. Thousands of scientists warn that climate tipping points are imminent. Thousands of scientists have repeated calls for urgent action to tackle the climate emergency, warning that several tipping points are now imminent. Not maybe, not possibly. General Grievous, is this you? Not maybe, not possibly, not sometime down the road. Imminent. The research part of a group of more than 14,000 scientists, which, oh yeah, here we are. Oh, oops. Oh yeah, thank you, spread it forward. Cool. 14,000 scientists who have signed on to initiative declaring a worldwide climate emergency, said in an article published by journal Bioscience. That governments had consistently failed to address the overexploitation of Earth, which they described as the root cause of the crisis. Interesting. And how did we? And I'm just asking questions. How did this Earth get overexploited? Since a similar assessment in 2019, they noted an unprecedented surge in climate-related disasters, including flooding in South America, Southeast Asia, record-shattering heat waves and wildfires in Australia and the US, and devastating cyclones in Africa and South Asia. For the study, the scientists relied on vital signs to measure health of the planet, including deforestation, greenhouse gas emissions, glacier thickness, sea ice extent, and deforestation. Out of 31 signs, they found that 18 hit record highs or lows. Jesus Christ, over half, I believe. Yeah. For example, despite a dip in pollution linked to COVID-19 pandemic, levels of atmospheric CO2 and methane hit an all-time high in 2021. Greenland and Antarctica recently showed an all-time low levels of ice mass and glaciers melting at 31% faster than they did 15 years ago, authors said. Ocean heat and global sea levels are set new records since 2019, and the annual loss rate of the Brazilian Amazon is at a 12-year high in 2020. That's disturbing. Echoing previous research, the researchers said forest degradation linked to fire drought and logging and cattle farming, causing parts of the Brazilian Amazon now to act as a source of carbon rather than absorb the gas from the atmosphere. Yes, so it's flipped, right? That's massive. That is a huge that should be like that should be across like headlines all over the place, right? That's huge. Thank you. Livestock, such as cows and sheep, are now at record levels, numbering more than 4 billion, with a mass exceeding that of all humans and wildland mammals combined. Yeah. Address the root cause. Team Lenton, the director of University of Exeter's Global System Institute and Study, said the record-breaking heat waves in Western US and Canada showed the climate has already begun to behave in shocking and unexpected ways. Wow, amazing. We need to respond to the evidence that we are hitting climate tipping points and with equally urgent action to decarbonize the global economy and start restoring instead of destroying nature. That's very interesting. It's like the prescriptions that I've been giving this entire time. We need to understand and get rid of and decarbonize or In other words, we need to get off fossil fuels in as many ways as possible, in as quickly as ways possible, now. And another prescription is to pour resources into restoring precious ecosystems that keep us alive. That's part 2 of like the many things that we need to do. Third, we need to try to get an international coalition to do the same. Fourth, we need to understand that we need to reorganize our priorities in terms of like how we do the economy. There's just no way of avoiding that, right? This is unsustainable. The researcher said there was mounting evidence that we are nearing or have already crossed a number of climate tipping points. These include the melting of the Greenland, West Antarctic ice sheets, which now may be irreversible on a centuries-long time scale, regardless of how or if the human race slashes its emissions. In other words, as we've stated before, it's mostly at this point adaptation and mitigation. They said increasing ocean deoxygenation and warming waters were threatening warm water coral reefs, upon which 500 million rely on food. 500 million people are about to get incredibly effed in terms of their ability to get food. And of course, that's going to cause 500 million people to try to figure out where to go, because they're not going to stay there. They can't. There's no food. 500 million. Given these alarming developments, we need short, frequent, and easy accessible updates on the climate emergency. I believe this is Germany, isn't it? The authors repeated previous calls for transformative change in 6 areas: eliminating fossil fuels, slashing pollutants, restoring ecosystems, switching to plant-based diets. Okay. Moving away from indefinite growth models, our economic system, and stabilizing the human population. I think we hit that one. I think that basically, based on birth rates and stuff like that, we're pretty much like going like this in terms of birth rates. So I think it's fine. But yeah, wow. Huh, weird. It's like the same stuff that I've been talking about. They also called for climate change education to be included in the school core curriculums globally in order to raise awareness to the issue. I agree. In the immediate term, they propose a trio of emergency responses to climate emergency. They consist of a significant carbon price, a global phase-out and ban of fossil fuels. I'm not sold on carbon tax, a carbon tax plan. Development of strategic climate reserves, such as restoring and maintaining carbon sinks and biodiversity hotspots. Yeah, sure. I completely agree. We need to stop treating the climate emergency as a standalone issue. Global heating is not the only sole system of a stressed Earth, said William Ripple, a distinguished professor of ecology at Oregon State University College. Policies to combat climate crisis and other symptoms should address the root cause: human over-exploitation of the planet. We need to quickly change how we're doing things, and new climate policy should be part of the COVID recovery plans whenever possible. This is why that infrastructure bill is so important. So yeah, just homework for the day. Yes, carbon credits are bullshit. Yeah, that's why I'm skeptical about that. Carbon taxes need to happen? You think so? You think that it will have a an impact? I mean, I don't know. I feel like carbon offsets are bogus, but taxing carbon is needed. Okay, so there's a difference, right? Okay, so there's a difference. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. You have to tax the polluters. Okay. Maybe I can be on board with that, especially if it's used in combination with other stuff. Maybe I can be on board with that. So homework assignment for the day. I see. Carbon tax is the price you pay for amount of carbon you release via manufacturing. Okay, so yeah, maybe I'm confusing the things. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to something like that. Homework of the day. Just have a think about this. Human over-exploitation of the planet. Ask yourselves, how exactly did we get there, and what exactly is the root cause of that? Alright, let's see if we can try to get through this. Oh yeah, so this is a really quick. We don't have the complete time to watch the entire video, but this story is actually true. It's a nice meme. So the city council members got very big mad. Got very big mad that a apparently like a self-proclaimed socialist won the mayoral position, and in their response was to just straight up abolish that position. So yeah, nice meme. If I profit enough, I don't have to reduce my emissions because I can just buy offsets. Yeah. So yeah, and it's true. It's right here. It's a nice meme. Very nice meme. Almost everything about our system needs to be improved. If only we had a bit of political power. True. So it's our job to do things and participate and use the tools that we have within the times that we have. Some of the things that, as I pointed out, are like understanding just how important, you know, local, state and politics are, as that county in Washington has banned any further new building of fossil fuel infrastructure. So the corporations bear the burden. Okay, I would be in favor of that. Yes, we went over this. Why is this title like this? 13 minutes. No, we don't have time for this, unfortunately. Joe Manchin profits $500K off of corrupt business deal. No surprise there. No surprises there. Whoa. I mean, let's see if we can kind of see what his response is.
Well, we suspected it might happen because of the increasingly uncontrolled spread of the Delta variant and the resurgence in COVID-19 cases. And it is happening. The CDC coming out with new mask guidelines yesterday. We are going backwards. The masks are going back on in many, many places. And seemingly overnight, I'm already seeing more masks just walking around. And yes, this is even for vaccinated people. We're going to look at the new guidelines, and I am going to sort of couch it all in saying the situation has not really changed that dramatically for vaccinated people, although it has changed, and it's important to understand the ways in which it has. But this is continuing to increasingly be a virus that is being spread by unvaccinated people, which is disproportionately seriously affecting unvaccinated people. And that, for now, appears to be the way it is going to continue. But that doesn't mean, given what's going on, that vaccinated people shouldn't take precautions in certain places. So let's look at the new CDC guidelines updated yesterday. When you've been fully vaccinated, okay, if you are fully vaccinated, you can participate in many of the activities that you did before the pandemic. To maximize protection from the Delta variant and prevent possibly spreading it to others, wear a mask indoors in public if you are in an area of substantial or high transmission. That is a major change. Whereas before, the position was if you're vaccinated, you don't really need to wear a mask anywhere. The new guidelines are if you're vaccinated, but you're indoors in public, meaning not with 5 other people whose vaccination status you know, but if you're in public indoors and in an area of high transmission, which you can look at a county by county level, substantial or high transmission, the new recommendation is to wear a mask. For me, what does that mean? Well, that means when I go to the grocery store, the mask is going back on. It goes on to say the new guidelines, wearing a mask is most important if you have a weakened immune system or if because of your age or an underlying medical condition, you are at increased risk for severe disease, or if someone in your household has a weakened immune system, is at increased risk for severe disease, or is unvaccinated. If this applies to you or your household, you might choose to wear a mask regardless of the level of transmission in your area. You should continue to wear a mask where required by laws, rules, regulations, or local guidance. True. So this is a significant change, and we are seeing the spike. I mean, if you look at the U.S. case numbers, you will see that starting, I don't know, right around June 22nd, about a month ago, after getting down below 10,000 cases per day, cases started to go up, including even some 65,000 case days, now up to an average of about 57,000 cases per day. Now, what's the hope here? The hope is that, much like we are starting to see in some other countries, for example, if you look at the UK, which was essentially one of the hubs of the Delta variant, we have already apparently hit the peak of cases in the UK. The peak in the UK of Delta seems to have happened around July 22nd, and they are now down from about 46,000 cases a day to about 32,000. That's a significant reduction. The hope is that what is now a sort of leveling out, as you can see over the last few days, the cases aren't continuing to increase in the US, they're sort of flattening out. The hope would be we are now going to be on the decline, but we don't know if we are, and part of that depends, of course, on taking precautions. So let's not go crazy one way or the other. I think there's a lot of hyperbole on both sides here, and I'm not playing a both sides game. The people responsible for this are overwhelmingly the unvaccinated people and the people taking no precautions. But the reactions have been sort of extreme on both sides. There's one side that 2 months ago said the pandemic is over. Many of these people were never wearing masks. Many of these people are still not vaccinated, and they're going back and to quote Dr. Anthony Fauci, letting it rip. That's an extreme reaction on one side because it's clearly not over. On the other side are the people who are seeing this and now saying, we are back to the pre-vaccine uncontrolled spread era. The truth is that for the Delta variant, if you're vaccinated, you're very well protected. And that protection is bolstered by people around you being vaccinated. Now, just like with the flu, there are people who are vaccinated, who are otherwise mostly healthy, who will get what's called a breakthrough case, and they will end up hospitalized, and a few of them are going to die. And that's a terrible and tragic thing. But it's important to remember that that also happens with the flu. And
this continuous comparison to like the flu and whatnot is like kind of triggering.
That doesn't mean we ignore this fact, but it also doesn't mean that we all of a sudden believe there's no protection and we're going back to the pre-vaccine COVID era. The truth is that for the most part, you are quite well protected if you are vaccinated. You are really unlikely to get very sick. You are really unlikely to die. However, you could spread it. You could spread it to someone who is in a more compromised position. And although that's the situation with the Delta variant, the more people remain unvaccinated and the more the spread continues, the next variant could be more deadly. The next variant could be even more transmissible. And as we've said before,
right. So yeah, the issue is like we need to get ahead of this thing because like these things continuously mutate, and the variant could very well be the one that circumvents the vaccine, and then we're not back to square one. We're back to square zero.
Or imagine if this had an 8% mortality rate or a 10% mortality rate. I don't know that people are looking to read about this type of stuff right now. I don't know if people are looking for this type of fiction, but I recently read Lawrence Wright's pandemic novel. I believe it's fatality rate to be. That is a dramatically different situation. The more we don't get vaccinated and the more this continues to spread, it increases the chances of such a variant developing in the future. So these are the rules at this point in time. People asking me if I'm canceling my upcoming travel. I'm not. And the reason I'm not is this situation of different pops and spreads, particularly among the unvaccinated, is likely to continue for a couple of years. And so if I'm not willing to travel now, I probably shouldn't travel for years. And I've made the decision in speaking with friends who are doctors and others that right now, based on when I got vaccinated and based on this particular variant and based on the fact that I'll be wearing a mask everywhere that it's recommended, I don't see a particular reason to cancel that trip now. But a lot of the questions are, where are you going and what is your health status, etc. One example, we're talking on the bonus show today, Nevada.
Okay, yeah, that's, no. I mean, sure, again, the real issue about this whole thing is like the fact that it can eventually mutate and turn into a variant that does circumvents the vaccine. All right, it's really that's the issue. Okay. Folks, unfortunately, that is all the time I have today. Thank you guys so much for joining. I apologize, it's the normal, regularly scheduled show. We'll be back on Saturday for Saturday Catterdays. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you guys hanging here. Thank you for all the new follows. Thank you for the tier 1 sub and the biddies. I appreciate that, Heat. Thank you for all the new follows. And folks, if you guys see any little diamonds in chat, make sure you hit the follow. You have a good day. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed the content, don't forget to hit the follow button, do the YouTubes, do the Twitters, do the TikToks, we're hippin' and hoppin', and join the Discords. I appreciate all of you guys being here. You guys are what makes the show grow. So make sure you spread the word far and wide that this is the chill space to be for news and politics, Monday through Thursday, and Saturdays for Saturday Catterdays. Please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya! No, but you always post good stuff, so I gave you a diamond so you can post links. But in the event that you did. Okay, folks. So let's head on over. I think, you know what? Today is a Ben day. Alright, let's head on over to Ben. Alright, folks. Hang tight. Let's show some love to Ben. I appreciate all of you guys here. Let's head out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go.